All the world is a stage. And this stage is a virtual world where we can create anything we want as we deliver our message. But simply delivering a message is not enough. How do we connect to our audience? Is it education? I've been in education all my life, as a student, as a teacher, just providing information. Is it in tennis? When my doubles partner doesn't hit a certain kind of a shot, I just can't help myself. I have to provide information. And as you can imagine, when that information isn't asked for, you can get me into a lot of trouble. It certainly wasn't my training as an attorney. We learned to be dispassionate, to simply argue facts and law. In my upbringing, it takes a lot to arouse my passion. But I know that to connect to an audience, it takes a window. To connect to people, it's about connection. And there are 3 keys to connecting to an audience. Key number 1 is touch over technique. Key number 2 is that learning feeling. Key number 3 are stories. Key number 1, touch over technique. Who remembers Edward Everett? U.S. Senator, Governor of Massachusetts. Come on, he gave a 13,607-word, 2-hour speech in oratory. No? How about 10 sentences, 2 minutes, starting with 407 years ago? Yes, Abraham Lincoln touched a nation. He connected to his audience and created a shared common experience. Edward Everett, he was the guy that came before Lincoln. Nobody remembers, of course. Angela Mayu, famous poet and author, said that people forget what you said, people will forget what you did, but people will never forget how they made you feel. Feeling. Key number 2, that learning feeling. Seven, 38, 55. Sounds like a quarterback calling out a football, starting a huddle, right? No, it's Albert Mehrabian, a famous psychologist, came up with 7, 38, 55 percentages as he was studying women, he was doing a study on women in their preferences for verbal and nonverbal messages. Only 7% of the women said that they trusted words alone. Well, now we know why attorneys are so boring. 30. How many of you have been in a courtroom by show of hands? God, look at all the criminals in this room. I was hoping just a few weren't. So we have the plaintiff's table on one side, we have the defendant's table on the other, and we have the podium in the middle. I call these podium people. Point number 1, point number 2, point number 3. 38% of the study group trusted vocal variety. Good morning, Vietnam! Oh, no, don't go in there. 55% trusted facial expression. The Mehrabian study has often been misquoted for the idea that the percentages relate to how we learn, auditory, visual, and kinesthetic. The further research suggests that while we all have a predominant style of learning, the reality is we use all 3 methods. For example, when I say the word red, you hear the word red, but you visualize, you can't help but visualize in your mind the color red. And for some of us, we associate the color with an event. Maybe a woman in a red dress or a red car. David Kolb, who's an educational theorist, came up with a model called the Learning Systems Inventory. And that model was designed to measure learning preferences. Now this is a tongue twister, so here it is. Here are the combinations in the 2 styles. It's active experimentation with reflective observation. and abstract conceptualization with concrete experience. This model led to the experiential style of learning, which, as you've seen, I love so much. Experiential learning is based upon the fundamental idea that when we're actively engaged, actively what?
Engaged.
Okay, let's do that again. When we're actively engaged, actively what?
Engaged.
Ah, excellent, thank you. The lessons are driven deep. Driven what?
Deep.
Into our memory, where they will be remembered longer. You guys did not take long. This was sort of the subtle trick that I played on you. It didn't take you long to grasp the idea of point number 1, point number 2, point number 3. And how fast did you start doing that? Who would like $1?
I'm not going to wait.
Who would like $1?
I'm gonna take it.
There he goes.
There he goes.
2 in a row.
2 in a row.
I told you I'd hold it.
You got it.
Just couldn't reach that high. That's the problem.
I ask you the question, reflective observation. What was in your thinking that you didn't come up and get this $1? Key number 3 are stories. Stories suspend time. They suspend belief. They draw our audience in with emotion. Jan Bentley is an expert in organizational management. And in an article that she wrote on learning systems and stories, she said that a well-crafted speech has 3 points to it. Number 1 is that it's rich in picture words. All the world is a stage. It stirs our imagination. Space, the final frontier. These are the voyages of the Starship Enterprise. It blends the left brain hearing the words, and the right brain fills in the gaps. I would like to leave you with a thought. Stage time is a gift. It's not a right. Because when you come up here and you deliver a 5-minute presentation, it's not just 5 minutes of your time, it's 5 minutes of each and every person in the audience. And if we're in a 1,000-person audience, we're using up 5,000 minutes of time. Value your time, value your message, connect to your audience. Thank you.